everybody, I'm Todd Anderson.
And I'm Ross Merriam.
And you're watching Versus Live by StarStateGames.com. Today we're going to be continuing our deep dive into the new Guilds of Ravnica Standard, where we had a lot of results this weekend.
Yeah, we finally got a little help. We've been brewing a bunch of decks, some
they all
more
look so
successful
much
than
better.
others.
They all look so much better than all my decks. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, you know, turns out when you take the best, the most successful decks from thousands of people,
yeah,
they tend to be a little bit better than
trial by fire. Instead of me playing
people.
5 games in a room with the deck, someone played like 40 games, and every time they won, they played against something better. And eventually, we just have 8 decks in the top 8 that just were better than everything else. That's how tournaments work.
Yeah, so there was a standard PTQ on Magic Online. There was the Team Constructed Open in Columbus, and then there's the Classic on Sunday of that Open. So a lot of standard got played last weekend. We were playing 6 decks that did well in those assorted tournaments, and gonna test them out for ourselves and see which ones we like and which ones we like less.
Yeah. We will also be having Versus Live on Thursday, too, so make sure you come back for that. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time we're doing this. Who we got in the booth right now? Is that Dan May?
Director Dan reporting for duty.
Hey,
How
how's
you
it
doing,
going,
friends?
Dan? We're doing good. How are you?
Doing all right.
All right, so in case you didn't know, Dan May has been working for Star State Games for quite some time. He is a great guy. A lot of times when you're watching the SCG Tour on the weekend, he's the person in Cedric Phillips' ear telling him what to do. So if you have any questions for me and Ross or for Director Dan, make sure to type in the Twitch chat at SCG Tour, ask the questions, and then when we have a little downtime, Dan's going to ask us those questions and we'll fire back. He's also going to be, making fun of us as we play, hopefully.
Dan is the brain behind some of the former Versus Series greatest moments, the salt meter. I believe that.
That
was
the
Dan.
salt meter.
Oh, I had a salt meter in one video.
In a mini masters
I got well
video.
seasoned.
Oh, were you also behind the ding whenever I drew the Narcomoeba?
Yes.
Yeah, if you've ever seen that video, it's like one of the first times I played Dredge. I just drew Narcomoeba like 6 times in 3 games, and it was awful.
Yeah, so I'm expecting a few good zingers from the booth over there, and if I don't get them, I'm going to be disappointed, Dan.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what are you playing today, and why are you playing this deck specifically?
So I'm playing the Esper control deck from the top 8 of the Magic Online PTQ. You say Esper, but it's essentially Dimir splashing Teferi.
Yes.
Which makes sense. Teferi's great.
Yeah, I mean, I have since Azorius is not a guild yet, we don't have Hallowed Fountain, but we still have Glacial Fortress as one of the buddy lands.
Isolated Chapel.
An Isolated Chapel. So and if you try to play Esper or you try to play Jeskai, a lot of times you can play like Izzet Splash White or Dimir Splash White because you have just enough lands to splash that 1 white mana off of Teferi. And Teferi's so good in a control deck that it only makes sense to splash that, you know?
Yeah, and there were a ton of different control builds going around over the weekend. We saw Azorius, we saw Izzet, we saw Grixis, we saw Jeskai, we saw Esper. So it's clear that the control cards, the shell of them, Chemistress Insight, what's the Surveil counterspell?
Oh, Sabotage, something?
Something Sabotage.
You got it.
Sinister Sabotage, there we go.
It's in your deck, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's in your deck. And I've also cast it like 10 times. I should know, too.
With all the other blue counter spells, so the core of the control deck is good. The question is what removal spells you want, and if you want Teferi or not. And I think the answer to those questions are the black removal spells are very good. So you still really want Vraska's Contempt as your catch-all, because it's an instant. Moment of Craving is really good against the aggressive decks, especially the aggressive red decks.
I've actually been surprised at how much I like Cast Down. Not being able to kill a legendary creature is occasionally painful when you play against like a turn 2 Amara Soul the Accord in the Selesnya Tokens decks. Or just later in the game goes, you face off things like Shalai, Voice of Plenty, and Lear Dawnbringer, and these cards are pretty tough for you to deal with sometimes outside of the 4 Vraska's Contempts because your cheap removal is geared towards beating these like mono red decks.
Yeah, and your sweeper Ritual of Soot does not hit bigger creatures like Lyra Dawnbringer or Aurelia. So there are some issues there, but you do have good counter spells. Got Essence Scatter for some and Syncopate.
I've also been very impressed by Syncopate lately as well, too.
So there's a lot of good things going on with the control decks. I think supplementing the core blue cards with black removal and a splash for Teferi is the way to go. We saw there's another Esper list in the top 32 that PTQ. John Rawson was in the top 8 of the Team Constructed Open. So Esper was one of the more successful control builds, and I think it's the best moving forward. So that's why I'm on it.
Okay, I'm going to be playing Max McVitie's mono red aggro deck. This is something we've talked about quite a bit in our articles. You've seen it, on various Magic Online
Yeah.
streams and
I
whatnot.
think everyone knew it was going to be the default deck going into the tournament.
And a lot of people were terrified that it was going to be like so dominant that this format was going to feel a lot like previous standard format in Kaladesh, where things like Bomat Crew and Scrap Heap Scrounger kind of took over. And a lot of the games where this mono red deck actually wins, it does feel a little bit like that. But there are enough tools in the format, I think, to control this particular archetype. However, I still think it's really powerful. If you are able to play out your entire hand and then stick an Experimental Frenzy, you kind of just go off since all your spells are really cheap.
The one-card combo.
Yeah, no, it's an insanely good card. It's especially good against control decks because games tend to go longer. As long as they don't have a counterspell up, you need to basically bait them on the turn where you want to cast it, or at least like a few turns prior, so that they basically play out all their counterspells. One particular annoyance is that Teferi can minus and hit the Experimental Frenzy, so it's not always 100% reliable. But if you ever get to untap with a Frenzy in play, it's going to be really tough for them to win.
Newsflash: Teferi does everything.
It does.
All the things. And get you a date for prom, order you pizza.
Helps out with your taxes.
Yeah.
It's everything.
All right, before we get started, we got any questions from Twitch chat?
Yeah, from Anarchy. Anarchy? I don't know why I'm saying it, but I like it.
Jeez. All right.
Ricky Bobby. Esper or Jeskai for the better control deck in Standard?
I don't know.
You got my opinion. I'm on the Esper train.
I actually think Jeskai is going to be a major player in the Standard format. I think Expansion Explosion, it really impressed me over the last week. I played against it a few times on stream. I played with it a few times on stream. I didn't really get to see a lot of it this weekend at the Team Open, but being able to copy a 1 or 2 mana removal spell on turn 4 or 3 to double up seems really powerful. And as the game goes long, a lot of times you can just start fireballing your opponent, and they chain off pretty well into each other, just like Sphinx's Revelation used to. And but you're also putting your opponent to dead, which is pretty great.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Sphinx's Revelation.
Right.
Instead of making the game go obscenely long and you keep drawing them, they're just dead.
Yeah.
Which is great because nobody wants to watch 75-minute games of Magic.
Yeah. I very much like Justice Strike as a removal spell. Obviously, it doesn't kill some of the better creatures in the format. Shalai, Voice of Plenty.
Aurelia.
The
Growth Walker.
Wild Growth Walker. What's the 2/3 archer that
Thornwield Lieutenant.
Thornwield Lieutenant. Doesn't kill that one, but overall, I think Justice Strike is very good.
I agree.
So I'm a huge fan of Jeskai, and there's been a couple of Jeskai lists on Magic Online over the last week or so. So I'm excited to try them out for sure.
I think the big gain for Jeskai is Cleansing Nova, by the way.
Sure.
That's the card that I'm most attracted to.
I was also very surprised at how messed up that card was.
Okay. Adam Mills, with all the new red cards that have coming out, is Burn seeing much of a resurgence now in Modern?
Oh, in Modern? I actually heard a couple of people trying out Risk Factor in Modern Burn. And for a deck that can't really afford to draw more than 4 lands without just basically losing the game, I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I think we've seen Exquisite Firecraft on the sideboard as a tool against control decks, and Risk Factor is a little bit different of a tool. Firecraft's really geared towards ending the game, and Risk Factor lets you have more staying power, but it might be the more powerful card. I could definitely see that. I'm not sure if there's any real other options, but Burn already saw a resurgence right before Guild of Ravnica was released, so if Risk Factor gives it another boost in terms of power, because it hasn't really gotten a new card since Eidolon of the Great Revel several years ago, that we could see Burn be a pretty major player, yeah.
All right, one more question, then we'll get to the match.
All right, in Standard, is Risk Factor and Experimental Frenzy worth playing in the same deck? I immediately vote yes on that.
Okay, so they do not work well together, I'll say that, because if you have an Experimental Frenzy in play and you cast a Risk Factor, your opponent can basically give you 3 cards with no real downside. Until you spend another 4 mana and crack your own Frenzy, those cards don't do anything. They're stuck in your hand. But if you cast either of them in the right spot against the right deck, they're both very powerful.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they don't really work well together is the only downside.
Yeah, there comes a point when cards are so powerful that even if they have some dyssynergy, it's fine to put them in the same deck because the individual power overrides that. And I think those 2 cards are powerful enough that you could see played in the same deck. Right now, I think we see both often in the lower to the ground aggro decks like you're playing, but in the more mid-rangey red decks, if fewer 1-drops, we don't see as many risk factors, which makes sense because that card is also a lot better when you have a lower curve. So when they give you one, the lower curve gets their life total down faster, so the 4 damage is more of a liability, and 2, when you draw 3 cards, you can deploy them easier if your curve is lower. So,
right, and on top of that too, just being lower to the ground means you're going to put your opponent at a lower life total before they're able to stabilize.
Yeah.
And risk factor starts to basically be they don't have 2 choices. They have 1 choice. If they're at 7, 6, or 5, or 4, they have to give you the 3 cards, or the threat of you dying is just very real, especially when you take into consideration the jump start on the next turn.
Yeah. So it looks like they play awkwardly together, but they're still both good enough to see play in the same deck, but not all the time. You have to consider how good they are, and the higher your curve is, the less you want both.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go and get to the match. Maximum Kvidi's Mono Red Aggro versus Esper Control from the Magic Online PTQ. Let's roll some dice. You goes first.
Poker hand?
Sure. Yeah. All 5 dice poker hand. Whoop. Pair 6. Oh, 2 pair. 6s and 3s.
I only had 1 pair.
Nice.
You got me. I
right.
still haven't won a die roll on versus live.
Well, shut up.
I really just haven't.
Wolfman 1776 with a sub.
Woo! Wolfman! Oh! Ow! Ow! Ow!
Okay.
Sub train.
We're
Please.
Storm counts 1.
that's what we're doing.
No, it's because the name's Wolfman.
Yeah, I got it done.
Okay. My hand is pretty great, but we don't have a 1-drop, but I'm still going to keep it, especially on the play.
My hand is fine. It's not great in this matchup, but we do have a reasonable opening curve. I think this hand would be a lot better on the play, but it's still a keep on the draw.
All right, I just want to point out this is the first time we actually have physical cards from Guilds of Ravnica in our deck.
Fan-flippin-tastic.
Yeah. Dude, I also want to say curse words, I do, really badly.
Okay, let's start on our tap land.
All right, well, that was okay. To you.
I'm at 18.
18, your turn.
I'm going to get an island.
Moment of Craving is particularly good against this deck. A lot of my creatures die to it, and the 2 life mitigates a lot of the little minor points of damage that we can deal. So if he has that, it's basically a turn later counterspell to Factional Pyromancer.
Just a clean answer. I'm at 18 life.
True that.
I'm drawing a card. I'm playing a Dram Catacomb. I'm passing the turn.
Whack ya.
I'm going to 16 life.
So what now? We can, he pretty clearly has a counterspell. Whether or not he has a counterspell or removal spell is unclear. We have quite a bit of burn in our hand, so I think I'm just going to...
What you got?
I'm just going to play Chain One.
Okay, scatter that.
Yeah, it's gone. Your turn. He gone.
Everyone talks about control decks being so hard. I'm just going to counter and destroy everything Todd does.
All right.
Easy peasy. 14, except this Vision of Pyromancer that's going to 20 me.
Go.
Okay. Swamp.
All right, EOT. I'm going to play a risk factor targeting your face.
10.
Nice. Untap.
Yep.
I'll draw.
Yep.
Play my land. I'm going to attack for 2.
8.
Go.
And a turn. Contempt this thing.
In response, I will play a risk factor from hand targeting you. And I want to do it from hand so we don't get hit with a syncopate. Plus, we just want to kind of empty our hand in case we draw something later.
4.
Yeah, so this one he's going to take. I'm going to go ahead and put him to 1 with Wizard's Lightning while we have the Wizard in play. And then he's going to exile this and go up to 3. So now every burn spell except Shock is lethal. Risk factor has to let us draw cards.
Pass turn.
Draw. All right, we're not going to play that. We're just going to say go.
Okay.
Upkeep. Lightning strike you.
And I'm at 3.
You are at 3.
Well, counter that.
All right, lightning strike you.
I'm dead.
Yes! Woo! Get some!
That risk factor being instant there was super important because I had the counter spell on 3. Todd was able to make my mana really awkward.
Yeah. All right, let's take one question before we move to sideboarding, and then we're going to take a 2-minute break while we get our sideboards put together.
All right. Mobile Mad Dad. Is it possible for a ban between either Chain Whirler or Elemental Steamkin? Or
Runaway
Steamkin. Runaway Steamkin.
I don't think either of those cards needs a ban. I mean, okay. So first of all, I want to say that there were 2 copies of Selesnya tokens in the finals of the Team Open. It was a Selesnya tokens mirror, and the fact that like Chain Whirler was defeated by one of these means that it's not too good. There's no way it should be banned. I think Steamkin being a 1/1 when it's cast also means that it dies a lot to things like Moment of Craving. Even Deadweight can get it.
Fungal infection.
Shock, fungal infection at the right times. I do think Runaway Steamkin is very good. I don't think it deserves a ban. You know, you're gonna have to prove how good that card is in the again in the face of a bunch of spot removal. Come on.
I know Goblin Chain Whirler was like 40% of the format for 3 months. It's not going to be 40% of this season. It's going to be around, and maybe you're already sick of it.
Too bad.
Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with it.
Just deal with it.
But it's going to be a lot healthier just being 10% of the format instead of 40%.
I mean, also, I think just having a check to a lot of these really powerful Selesnya cards is fine.
Yeah. Have you read March of the Multitudes?
Yeah.
Have you cast that card?
Messed up.
Have you Splinter Twin anyone? March of the Multitudes into Flourish? Come on. Selesnya is great.
All right, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break while we assemble our sideboards. We'll be right back.
And we're back with sideboarding here. Esper Control against Mono Red Aggro. I am, as the control deck, going to be bringing out a lot of my counter spells, a lot of my reactive answers for more proactive answers. So on the play, I'm going to be cutting all my sabotages. If I hopefully get to a game 3, I'm going to try 2 sabotage in the deck and cut my syncopates on the draw. But I think syncopate's a lot better on the play. I'm bringing in a lot more cheap removal. We got these fungal infections that are really good against Viashino Pyromancer and other of Todd's cheap creatures.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to leave in Fanatical Firebrand, right? Like, you know, and the fact that it kills 8 of my creatures for 1 mana while giving you a potential chump blocker for something else. It also kills Steamkin if I'm not careful.
In combat, it can take out a 2/2 like Legion War Boss,
right?
And it can combine with another removal spell to take out Phoenix by taking out the Elemental token. So a lot of value there.
If I attack with the 1-drop to get 2 Lava Runner, you can also just in combat -1/-1 get a creature and block. So it's
when
a very
it's a 1/2 and then you keep your 1/1.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So we got another copy of Ritualist sit here. Got these Vonas. Normally you'd see Lyra Dawnbringer in this spot, but the Esper deck on its light white splash can't play the double white spell, so Vona is your facsimile for the Angel. Still a solid life-linking body.
You think you're going to pay 7 life at some point to kill something?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Just the Frenzy?
Yeah.
Like, if you're still like 20 when I cast Frenzy and you play Vona, I'm just like, well, that's dead. So the way we are going to be sideboarding from the mono red side, we're going a little bit bigger, and we do have a mountain in our sideboard that would normally come in when you board in things like Experimental Frenzy and Rekindling Phoenix. However, we're on the draw, and in this matchup, I think the games are going to go pretty long, so I don't need the extra land, and I don't actively want to get flooded. If we don't draw a Risk Factor or Experimental Frenzy, drawing like your 5th, 6th, 7th land is awful. So I think I just want to mitigate that by cutting a mountain. Or leaving the mountain in the sideboard, rather. We're cutting some of our cheap burn spells. Shock, you know, is just the worst one by a lot. Wizard's Lightning, I think the removal from Ross is going to make it cost 3 more often than it's going to cost 1. So we're going to be trimming that over Lightning Strike. And we're bringing in 2/5 with Fire. This is basically the safety valve. If your opponent is playing Lyra Dawnbringer or something like Vona that's just a little bit bigger, and if the game goes super deep, you know, he's kicking Dome for 10 in the face. I've been super impressed by 5 with Fire in a number of strategies so far in this standard format. And, you know, while Ross is not playing Settle the Wreckage, it is really good against control decks that do hit you with Settle the Wreckage because it can still kill Lyra, or, you know, if they give you 6 lands or 4 lands or 3 lands or whatever.
Split card, kill big creature, kill them.
Right. And if your Runaway Steamkin ever sticks around for more than a turn, usually you're going to be able to get some mana off of it, and sometimes you just use that to kick a 5 with Fire. I would like to see like 1 Banefire or 2 Banefires in the sideboard of this mono red deck. I think that's been happening quite a bit in Magic Online lists, and I think it's great. Just being uncounterable is awesome against these decks.
Yeah. Before you guys showed up, Director Kyle and I played a little test game, and I was on your mono red list, and there was like one good point where I'm like, I have 6 lands open. I want a Banefire here, but I didn't get one. So to Ross, game 1, is this the equivalent in MTG of Pranjaling?
We got more games to play. You know, I'm behind after
Yeah.
single Jeopardy.
Yeah.
We're going into double Jeopardy now.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
All
Okay.
right.
Maybe the categories get better for me. I think I got Todd beat in French history.
Yeah. Well, probably.
Need some of them true daily doubles there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you
That one
unaware,
didn't go so
Ross
well
Mayer
either.
was on an episode of Jeopardy last year or year before?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And
2.5.
he got beat pretty bad
Yeah.
by Mr. Pranjal.
Yeah, fair
Although,
play
to
to
be fair,
Pranjal.
Pranjal also beat Tim Ayton, right?
Yes.
When they played. Pranjal is very smart. Very
He
good at
knew
Jeopardy.
A lot of things.
He knows.
Pranjal
a
was
lot.
in the Tournament of Champions that year,
was.
so...
Yeah. All right. We got any more questions before we get started? Let's take a quick little breather here.
Yeah, quick thoughts on Gruesome Menagerie.
Who asked that question?
Dr. Idiot.
Nice. I love Gruesome Menagerie. I think it is great with Wild Growth Walker and J-Light Ranger. I think that combination is particularly powerful against a lot of these aggressive decks in the format. And I think it's really good with Plague Bearer or Plague Crafter. Plague Crafter as the 3-drop, being able to hit a Planeswalker or just kind of grind out your opponent, I think is really powerful.
Saw a lot of those decks in the top 16 of the PTQ. I wrote about them in my article this week that should have gone up today. I didn't check the website before we went live. But I hope if it's not up today, it'll be up later this week. I think those decks have a lot of potential, and Gruesome Menagerie is a super powerful card in those archetypes.
How's your hand?
Really good if the top 3 cards in my deck are all lands.
Hey, same.
I think in the game where we're both stuck on mana, you win.
Well, we'll see.
And this hand is so good if I hit lands, but on the play, I just can't keep it.
Is it a 1-lander or 2-lander?
Oh, it's a 1-lander.
Okay.
Well, like-
if it was a 2-lander with like a couple of 2-mana removal spells, I think you can
I
keep.
would snap keep.
Yeah.
You could take any card out of this hand and replace it with any land in my deck, and I would snap keep this hand.
All right. I'm kind of in the same boat. Any land over any of these cards, and I think this hand is nuts. So, I think I'm going to mulligan. So I'm going to just lock in a mulligan here, but I'm going to take a peek.
Never
All
peek.
right. Well, we would have hit on the second draw, which is fine because we're on the draw. But we would have got stuck with 2 experimental frenzies for quite a while before we hit 4 lands.
Second frenzy, not so good.
No, it's not. First frenzy is quite good. I mean, the second frenzy is also fine against control, though, because a lot of times they'll just counter the first one.
True. That's my plan.
Or kill it with Invoke
Vona.
the Divine. Or Vona. Yeah, spend 7 life, kill it. How's your 6?
Keep.
Ruh-roh, right? All right, while I'm shuffling, we got another question?
Not right now, but I did wanted to bring up, because you brought up the salt meter for Ross. A lot of people don't know the entire process of the list. It starts off with saltine crackers, lightly salted peanuts. I think with the video that was on there, if the highest it went up to was Himalayan salt lamp. We started losing salty consumable foods and just like, okay, what's the next saltiest thing I could think of?
I think you went to the Dead Sea at one
Yeah,
point.
it caps off
Wow.
at Dead Sea.
That's the saltiest thing I've ever tasted. And I once eat a heaping bowl of salt.
I think chicken noodle soup was in there at one point.
Nice. All right, I'm going to keep my 6. Let's scry. Yeah, I think third land here is pretty good. So we're gonna
Yeah. Even though this is like the last third land I would want, I still think it's good enough to
Evolving
keep.
Wild? Nice.
I will play a tapped Watery Grave.
All right, we're going to play a 1-drop creature. Your turn. On the draw, we really want a 1-drop creature to start forcing the action from Ross so his counterspells get a bit worse. Okay. Attack. He did. No.
Got a lightning strike?
I do not. He did.
Oh yeah.
All right, so he gets to
Block.
actually eat.
Block.
He gets to eat it. All right, we're going to play
No,
Runaway Steam
pretty
Can.
sure you're the one who just ate it.
That's true. Wow. Your turn.
You want to block?
No, I do not. I'm at 19. Nice
Okay.
attack.
Well, I want a moment of craving that thing.
All right. So you're at 22, 19.
Look at me. I am the beatdown now.
Why would you even give me the option? Why wouldn't you,
Because then I get to save my moment of craving for something
All
that
right.
may be a 1/2.
we'll eat it and hit you to 21. Your turn.
Go.
Attack for 3.
18.
Force him to have a counterspell of Vraska's Contempt here with a Phoenix.
Tilt. Draw 2 cards.
Nice. So basically on the turn where your opponent can cast Chemister's Insight, you always want to play a big spell and force them to choose between drawing 2 cards or dealing with your thing. And a lot of times they just don't have it, so Teferi minus. Get browned.
Go.
All right. Untap. I'll draw for turn.
Yeah.
I will move to declare tax.
Yeah.
Hit you for 7.
11.
That's a yikes, fan. I'm gonna play Vaishnav Pyromancer. Because I'm assuming his hand is so bad, he just has to cast Chemist's Insight from the graveyard this turn. Even if we get Ritual Soot, it doesn't deal with this. He could go EOT, kill this, untap Ritual Soot. If he had killed this in combat, I probably wouldn't have cast that for fear of Ritual Soot.
Resolves. I'm a 9.
You're 9. Your turn.
On your end step, definitely jump starting this. I got to figure out which card I want to discard.
In response.
I don't think it has to be this. I'm not gonna have a window to land it. But if I do, if I draw a good one, what do I need to draw here? I need to draw like Contempt for this.
And a 2-mana removal spell. And a land.
I'm gonna discard this Essence Scatter because I think I'm gonna be tapping out a lot. And Todd's already played a bunch of creatures.
That's true. I do not have risk factor. I was bluffing. It was a good bluff, and by that I mean, just kind of messing with Ross.
Mind games.
That's an interesting card here.
I wish I did have risk factor. I would 100% just not cast it and just say I had it, or say I didn't have it.
Well, I'm gonna be dead to a fight with fire, but I think this is my best shot.
Yikes!
You can go.
That's a good one.
Kind of wish it was Lyra Dawnbringer.
Attack.
That is definitely a yikes.
So Fanatical Firebrand plus the first strike on this threatens close to lethal.
Yep.
We don't want to attack with this because he just blocks this and gains 4. But
If I take it, I'm dead to a burn spell. The problem is, if this thing dies and I go to 5,
what are your outs?
yeah, I would have to rip Vraska's Contempt. Actually, yeah, I guess this thing would still be around. I would go to 5. Even if I contempted this, I'd go to 7, and this attacks for 5. I'd be dead to a burn spell after a contempt.
I don't think you can beat a burn spell no matter what. But.
Oh, I guess if I draw contempt, I can then double spell.
Also, I will say this: if I had a burn spell, I probably would have just killed this and then also attacked with this.
That's also true. Okay, I'm gonna go to 2.
Okay, your turn. But now he has to answer Fanatical Firebrand, or else I can block and shoot him so he doesn't gain 4 life from the Vigilance attack.
I am going to cast Ritual of Soot.
Okay, I will deal 1 to you.
I go to 1. I will attack you for 4.
Yep. You're
I go to 5. You go to 15.
Yep.
You can go.
All right.
Now we are in a holding pattern.
That was actually a really bad draw. Attack for 4.
I'm gonna try to keep my life total high. Just cast this as a gain 4, basically.
So you go to.
So I'm gonna stay at 5.
Yeah, you stay at 5.
So gain 2, take 2. Yeah.
All right. Post combat, I'm gonna play a Legion War Boss. If we play that pre-combat, he would have just blocked and gained 4 life.
Yep.
It's possible I shouldn't even play this. Hold on.
Yeah, you can figure out what you're doing. I'm tapped out.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna play it.
Okay.
Go.
Well, this is going about as well as possible. Attack
Yep.
for 4. 11.
9 to 11. Mm-hmm.
Vona has been excellent.
Yeah, it makes me want to bring in another fight with fire, to be quite honest.
And now I will Teferi and tuck away that Phoenix.
Yeah.
Tax time.
Pass the turn.
All right. Draw. All right. Risk factor.
I'm at 9.
Yep.
I'll go to 5.
All right. Risk factor again.
I'll go to 1.
Go.
With Vona here, I'm not too worried about getting burned out. So
Yep.
let's draw a card. Mush you for 4. So I got 7 to 5.
Yep.
And hold on.
I have no cards in hand. You do whatever you want, baby.
I'll draw 2 cards.
Sure.
And untap these 2 on end step. You can go.
Experimental frenzy.
Oh boy.
Sure.
Resolves. That's a Phoenix, right?
Oh yeah, duh. Your turn.
So that means the Phoenix is going to get stranded in Todd's hand, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's draw another card.
Yep.
Drawing so many cards. They're all lands.
9
Attack
and 3.
you. Yep. And untap.
Yep. You play tapped and then Teferi on tap.
Yep.
So, all right. Draw this for turn. Looking for Experimental Frenzy. I will cast Runaway Steamkin.
That resolves.
I will look. I will cast Fanatical Firebrand. Trigger this. And I'm gonna look.
You have me at 9.
I have you at 9, and I'm at 3.
Sure.
All right. I will play this land off the top. I will
Yep.
look. I will go for a fight with fire on this. I will look. Trigger this.
In response to that trigger. Yeah, in response to that trigger, I'll Moment of Craving the Steamkin.
Okay.
I go to 11. And yeah.
All right. I will attack Teferi for 1. Your turn.
Maybe I should have kept that second Teferi and tucked away that Frenzy.
Yep.
Just thought you were going to die, but
But instead, I got to draw 3
Great.
cards. Well, 4 cards. I played the land too.
wow. That's a lot of lands.
Wow. Am I actually gonna win this game? Why didn't you discard a land to experimental or to Chemist's Insight?
Well, I drew 2 lands off of it, and then I
Nice.
drew a land for turn, and then I drew a land off Teferi, or
Nice.
close to that. Well, there's 1 spell in there.
3 to 11. Is that correct on life?
Yep.
Okay.
And step, I'll untap this.
All right.
Here we go. I also liked
Look
that
at
the
the
Frenzy
top
was going to keep the
Draw.
Phoenix away, but I had an
Look.
answer to the Phoenix.
All right. Play this risk factor. Target you.
You can draw 3.
Okay. Sorry, I messed up. All right. Draw 3 cards. All right. Look at the top card. I will spend 2 for a Vaishno Pyromancer trigger.
I go to 9.
No, I'm gonna hit Teferi for 2. It can hit Planeswalkers.
Oh. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna look at the top card.
Hold. Jeez. That hits Planeswalkers.
All right, I'm gonna play this land. I'm going to
Best laid plans of mice and men.
attack Teferi. No, there's no reason. All right, I'm gonna cast Goblin Chain Whirler. All right, I'm gonna attack you
I'm
for
at-
1.
So that's going to bring me to
10.
9. I took 1 off Chain Roller too.
Oh yeah, 9. Sorry. So 3 to 9. Okay, your turn. Man, Experimental Frenzy's busted. Sure.
Go.
All right, so we knew we were drawing that. Let's take a look at the top card. Going to pop this.
Sure.
I'm going to play Kindling Phoenix.
Sure.
Go.
Contempt it.
All right, so you're at
11.
Your turn. Popping the Frenzy might have been a little risky, but with my hand being as good as it is, and I have the risk factor in the graveyard as well. Draw. I will play Rekindling Phoenix.
Sure.
I will play. I will say go.
Todd's holding up a lightning strike to protect this Phoenix, so I'm going to draw.
Okay.
Go.
All right. EOT. I will cast a risk factor, discarding a land. Target you.
You have me at 11.
I have you at 11.
I'll go to 7.
All right.
You got 3 in hand?
Yes. Can I untap? I'll draw.
Contempt.
I'm gonna play for a longer game. We're gonna lightning strike it.
Yep, you get an elemental token.
I don't really want to play into a ritual. So how many of you cast? 2?
2.
But I guess that's okay. All right, deal 1 to you.
I'm at 6.
All right, your turn. Results. Yep. If you concede right now, I'm gonna be so upset.
Oh, it's not so good. On my end step, I'm gonna untap 2 lands and then cast down this elemental.
All right, so you go. Oh wait, no, you don't get life. Sorry.
Pass.
In a turn, I'm gonna try to lightning strike you.
I'm at 3.
Attack for 3.
Me or Teferi?
You. If you tell me you're dead, I'm gonna be sad. Cause I'm gonna kick this fight with the fire all over your face. Had it. How'd you lose that game?
Discarded the wrong card to
How
Chemist's Insight.
You had to do like the exact worst possible to lose that game.
Yeah, people were wondering why you didn't pay 7 to blow up the frenzy with Vona.
Ooh, yeah, you could have just done that.
I
You
was
were
at-
at 11, so you would have had to go to 4.
Yeah, that's
a little
risky business.
That's yeah. I mean, that's risk factory business.
I mean, it would have won the game. I knew what your top card was,
That's true.
and I had a contempt in my hand.
Man, you're so bad.
We talked about this before this game started, about me paying 7 to blow up a frenzy. We literally had this conversation. You know,
Hold on.
when you're playing on camera,
Yeah, sometimes
it's harder. You miss
so
things.
Those games are pretty short. Do you want to play a third one? Actually, let's ask chat. Chat, do you want us to move to another deck, or do you want to see one more match or one more game of me beating the heck out of Ross Merriam? Let's do 1's for beat the heck out of Ross Merriam, 2 for move to the next game.
Yeah, 1's for more games, 2's for moving on.
Because I like this McVitie deck. I'm not gonna lie.
There are so many 1's.
All right, everyone wants to see me pound
All
Ross
the
Merriam again.
1's.
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, I'll play first.
All right.
While they're doing that, fun question for you guys.
Let's go.
Best style of pizza. Best style, not what your
As
favorite
in
toppings are.
Chicago or-
New York,
yeah.
Detroit
Okay,
deep dish style.
Let's get this out of the way now. Chicago deep dish pizza is not pizza. It's lasagna.
Hold on,
just
let me
made-
see if Connor's
Tomato
in chat.
soup in a bread bowl.
Oh crap, Connor's in chat. He is going to be so mad.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Connor used to work at Star City Games. He's
Currently lives in Chicago.
from Chicago, currently living in Chicago. You're not safe anymore. You know, next time he sees you on the street, it's gonna be a brawl.
Well, you know what the secret best pizza is? It's New Haven style a pizza. There's an A in the front.
You are not
pizza.
wrong with that. I do like a pizza.
Yes.
Or
What is
Or
pizza?
a beats.
I don't get it.
It's the New Haven style.
Okay, but like, what's so different about it?
They put it in an oven that is ridiculously hot, so the crust chars, and it gets a little bit chewy to it. It's really good. It's close to Brooklyn style thin crust, but it's a little bit different, and it's so good.
Okay.
Little Frank Pepe's. There's like 3 or 4 pizza restaurants in New Haven that are all great.
Tyler Durden 803 mentions a Montreal style pizza.
Wait, is that just poutine on a pizza? Is that just poutine
Yeah, I'd be
bread?
all for that because I love me some
Yeah,
poutine.
poutine's great. Dude,
Stay in your lane, Montreal. Do what you're good at. Poutine
Oh, yeah.
and maple syrup.
classic American telling other countries to stay away from pizza. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Ross.
Stay in your lane, Montreal.
You're on the play. I'm gonna beat the mess out of you. This is for deep dish lovers everywhere. I'm not gonna say the deep dish is the best, but I do love deep dish. So, you know what, Ross? Brand you.
Deep dish D's.
Is it though?
Yes.
Just shut up and play your cards.
It's not that good.
Just mulligan. If you're gonna mulligan, or
My
let's
hand
go.
I was
doesn't have any-
partially regretting this too because there are so many times that we bring up food and then Ross has like super strong opinions about this, like
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah. And most of the time he's just wrong.
Well, here I'm very right, much like every other time.
Oh.
But start talking about that Shake Shack.
Oh no! Don't get him
Don't
started.
on
Don't get
Shake
him
Shack.
started.
I don't even look. I had to listen to it on the drive home from Columbus when we had both busted out of the team open, and
It was long.
yeah, like most things Ross talks about, he goes on and on and on.
Spoiler alert. The next episode of Flashback is Ross's episode, and he goes at length about how he likes In-N-Out over Shake Shack. I won't spoil the details. Ross, you made it abundantly clear what you like.
No, I made it abundantly clear which one is better. Again,
It's
these are more than just opinions.
okay. Look,
They're verifiable facts.
There are these
They're
things called
verifiable facts.
preferences and opinions, and you have a lot of them. That does not mean they are fact.
Okay, I hope I find some black mana. That's a black card.
Tilt.
Hold on.
We just got Ross in the vice grip.
If I draw Isolated Chapel, I want to have played that Plains. I didn't draw Isolated Chapel.
We're approaching Dead Sea levels of salt.
19.
Yeah, he doesn't show me black mana, so I'm going to play Runaway Steamkin and try to run away with this game.
17.
Okay, tilt.
19.
Well, and that's
Go.
why this is why Runaway Steamkin is great, because now Ross is tapped out. We drew our sideboarded Legion War Boss, and that's going to create a
17.
Cedric Phillips token. Whack ya. Better have Strangling Sit, or you're in trouble. Nice. That's
Go.
not good. That's not good. That doesn't.
It's a
interact
great
with-
Magic card, Todd.
That doesn't interact with the
Modern staple.
the current battlefield.
Cedric Phillips has an opinion of which is better between In-N-Out and Shake Shack.
Yeah, and his opinion is wrong.
All right, move to combat. We're gonna mentor on. I'm gonna mentor this little deuce.
Does this mentor target is just...
What are you talking about? It's mentor. He has the mentor ability. Target. Or
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think it actually does.
It does target.
It does target. Okay, target this.
Yeah. Take 6. I'm
All
at
right.
11.
Now go ahead and try to find your black mana for your soot. There it is. Scoop them up. If you don't, you're gonna die.
Go.
Whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever.
So I'm taking 7.
Yeah, you're 4. Go. Yeah, you're 6.
Doing what I can here.
All right.
You can go.
You're not out of it. I thought you were going to be out of it. All right.
3.
I will put you to 2.
Yep.
Go. I'm trying to strangle his outs, but I'm leaving myself vulnerable to another soot. But he is at 2. I guess 2 and 3 is not that much different. It's possible I should have just not played Chain Whirler, but this plays around, or not quite plays around Vraska's Content, but it helps.
I think I need to find Fungal Infection, kill this block here, and go to 2.
Yeah. Well, if that's your only out, I might just not attack with this. But yeah, you'll have 3 mana, so we'll see.
Yeah, I shouldn't have told you.
Well, you played it last game.
Oh,
I can deduce your outs based on things.
Well, this is my hand, and that's definitely not there.
Nice. The clean. We need a mini broom. I'm gonna call it now. We got to get a little mini broom for Versus Live where we just sweep all of Ross's permanents off the battlefield whenever he gets 3-0'd. We also need a Dead Sea emote. I'm gonna call that too. We have enough subs on the SCG tour where we can get some cool emotes for
I
Versus
forget, do we have
Live.
like a salty sort of emote for tour?
It's just a salt shaker or whatever, or
Oh.
like a but it's whatever.
That probably needs an upgrade.
All right, so let's talk about this particular matchup. Let's calm it down, Ross. I know that you're really mad. It's just a game.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Wow, that's even worse. Honestly, you can't be that disappointed because Esper Control does have good matchups against the slower decks in the format. This is, I think, particularly one of the bad matchups.
We were playing a few games before we went live, and I noted during them that virtually any stumble from the Esper deck would snowball immediately. And we saw in 2 of those games that my stumbles snowballed and I couldn't win. And I recovered in one of them with Vona, and then threw that game away. And that didn't go.
You
so
just need
well.
a top card in my deck. Cha 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 cha. Just knew you had perfect information to very easily win the game, and you chose not to. Vona has text on it. Okay.
Yeah, has lifelink and vigilance.
Yeah.
The other text. Okay. Stumbles. Well, we're gonna calm it down. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper here, a little bit less salt. Pepper's better than salt anyway. But
for your blood pressure anyway.
yeah. So any stumble gets super punished. Yep. You've got to try to mulligan hands. I did a little bit. Vona looked very good. Having vigilance on your lifelink creature is great. Being able to play offense and defense.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was worried that it would be enough of a downgrade from Lyra that it would be pretty bad. Lyra helps obviously against Rekindling Phoenix, but the black removal helps contain Phoenix pretty well, as well as your counter spells. So I think Vona's perfectly fine. Deck seemed it's definitely better than what I showed here because I should have won a game. Game that I looked like I could not possibly win.
Sure. Yeah, when I put you down to one life with the Vona, and then it kind of snowballed from there. Like the Ritual of Soot, and then finding like the answer for the Rekindling Phoenix, like you tucked it with the Teferi. And then, I peeled Frenzy, which was really good, but you had two ways you could have dealt with it, either by discarding a different card to the Chemist's Insight, keeping the Teferi for a tuck, or, once you had the perfect information of, you knew Phoenix was the top card, you were at 11 life, you could have paid 7 life after you attacked with Vona to get rid of the Experimental Frenzy. So it should have been 2-1. Let's just, once you've played the deck more, once you see, like Vona's not a card we're used to playing with. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to, what's it called? I'm going to scale your grade from a D to a C, okay? You get a C for playing Esper Control. Because you just threw away a game.
I did.
Yeah, but it's a new card, or it's not a new card, but it's a card that hasn't seen a lot of play.
It's new to me, Todd.
Yeah.
It's new to me.
If I ain't seen it, it's new to me.
The mono red deck looked pretty impressive.
First of all, McVitie just crushed like almost every opponent all day. He would regularly finish his match, and then he thought he would be a detriment to his teammates as far as making decisions are concerned. He just left.
Yeah.
That's a classic Brad Nelson strategy.
You figure he's played Standard? Why not copy the best Standard player in the world?
Yeah.
Get up and leave the table.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going home.
But
Good
yeah,
luck.
the mono red deck was one of the first deck that I 5-0'd with on a Magic Online.
Kind of liking that strategy myself. Might just get up and leave.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take it's fine. But yeah, mono red just looked really powerful in the opening weeks. This version is not playing Flame of Keld, which I'm not even sure if that's right or not, because
I think it's right. Frenzy's is so much better.
I mean, Frenzy is very good, but it also costs 4 mana, and a lot of times, I mean, you have to play 22 lands to be able to facilitate the Rekindling Phoenixes and the Experimental Frenzies. The card Risk Factor is not very good in tandem with Experimental Frenzy, whereas Flame of Keld is great. So, I mean, you could probably play a slightly lower to the ground version of this deck that just plays like 3 or 4 Flame of Keld, 3 or 4 Risk Factors, if you want to. I'm just saying it's a possibility, and there could be a time in this format's rotation where Experimental Frenzy is actually worse than Flame of Keld just because it's more expensive.
Maybe. I just think the Flame of Keld is like the Chicago pizza of red card advantage enchantments.
Oh, God.
It's just
I will
worse.
say this, before the standard format, I was not a fan of Flame of Keld. There were a couple of decks. I think Aaron Barrich actually had Flame of Keld in his deck when he won the Invitational. And there was like a wizard-based version that looks very similar to this deck that played Wizard's Lightning and Get to Lava Runner and stuff, along with like Bomat Courier in the previous standard format that also played Flame of Keld. I will agree that Flame of Keld did not impress me then. But for playing with the card over the last week and a half, I think that, for me anyway, it actually just improved significantly because you don't have things like Bomat Courier, you don't have Scrap Heap Scrounger, you don't have these things that like let you go super long, except now we also have Risk Factor and we also have Experimental Frenzy. So you just have to pick basically 2 of the 3 because 2 of 3 is going to be where you're going to want to be at.
I agree, and you should pick Experimental Frenzy.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the first match today. We're going to take a short break here while we prepare for the second match. Going to pay the bills, so to speak. When we come back, we'll be answering some of your questions as we discuss the second matchup, which is going to be Izzet Spells versus the Golgari mid-range deck that was the winner of the Magic Online PTQ.
The rockiest deck that's ever rocked.
Dude, 4 Assassin's Trophy, check. That's what everyone wants to do, apparently.
7
even though
Planeswalkers,
I hate the card.
Check, that's what I want to do.
7 Planeswalkers. I will say this, Vraska Golgari Queen looked amazing. I've played against this particular list roughly 5 times now since Saturday when the deck won the PTQ, and it's looked awesome. You know, my opponent just every time I'm like, okay, I'll, throw 7 things at your Vraska, and then it dies, and they're just like, okay, Vivian Reed. I'm just like, it sucks.
Get ready.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you. I'm going to be the one drawing cards now. I guess I should have been the one drawing cards with my
I'm playing
Esper deck.
Izzet. I'm going to be drawing a lot of cards.
That's true.
Right.
Everyone's drawing a million cards in every deck.
All right.
That's great.
We'll be back with more Versus Live here in just a few.